Welcome to my YouTube channel. Every coin has a history where history meets hidden fortune. Here I share real videos of rare and old coins, including pieces worth millions that can truly change a collector's life. If you love coin hunting, rare finds, and valuable treasures, this channel is your guide to the world of priceless coins. The $1 coins of 1846, 1856, and 1864, all part of the celebrated seated Liberty Dollar series, represent some of the most historically significant and collectible silver coins in American numismatics, each capturing a unique moment in the nation's 19th century evolution, both economically and politically. The 1846 dollar emerges from a period of expansion and optimism, struck at the Philadelphia Mint as the United States was beginning to stretch its boundaries westward and establish itself as a growing commercial power, with its classical design by Christian Gobrecht symbolizing liberty, unity, and national identity. A decade later, the 1856 dollar reflects an era of increasing internal tension, marked by sectional disputes over slavery, political unrest, and the challenges of maintaining a stable economy amid regional and national divisions, while still upholding the artistry and precision of mid-19th century coinage. By 1864, the United States was engulfed in the Civil War, and the seated Liberty Dollar of that year stands as a remarkable artifact of resilience, struck during extreme economic strain, limited mint production, and wartime uncertainty, serving as both a store of value and a symbol of continuity in a nation fighting for its survival. Collectively, these three issues illustrate not only the evolution of American silver coinage and minting technology but also the broader narrative of a nation growing, struggling, and ultimately striving to preserve its ideals, making them highly prized by collectors, historians, and investors for their historical significance, scarcity, and enduring artistry. The 1846 $1 coin of the United States, commonly known as the seated Liberty Dollar, represents one of the most historically significant and artistically refined silver coins of 19th century America, produced during a time when the young nation was undergoing profound political, economic, and territorial transformation, including the Mexican-American War and westward expansion. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time was the primary federal mint responsible for circulating silver coinage, and the 1846 dollar belongs to the long-running seated Liberty Dollar series 1840-1873, designed by Christian Gobrecht, one of the most influential engravers in U.S. mint history, whose work symbolized classical republican ideals inspired by ancient Greece and Rome, reflecting America's desire to present itself as a civilized, stable, and enduring republic. The obverse of the 1846 dollar features Lady Liberty seated on a rock, facing left, holding a liberty pole topped with a Phrygian cap, a powerful symbol of freedom dating back to Roman times, while her other hand rests on a striped shield bearing the word liberty, symbolizing national unity and constitutional defense, and surrounding her are 13 stars representing the original colonies, with the date 1846 placed below, all of which were struck in .900 fine silver with a total weight of 26.73 grams, 412.5 grains, and a diameter of approximately 38.1 millimeters, making it a substantial and impressive coin intended primarily for large commercial transactions rather than everyday use. The reverse design displays a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching arrows and an olive branch to signify strength and peace, with the inscriptions, United States of America, and $1 encircled by a wreath, a design that conveyed both authority and balance at a time when the U.S. economy relied heavily on precious metal coinage rather than paper currency. The mintage of the 1846 seated Liberty Dollar was relatively modest, with approximately 110,600 coins struck, and due to heavy circulation, melting, exportation to Asia, and the intrinsic value of silver, far fewer examples survive today, especially in higher grades, making this issue particularly desirable among collectors. During the mid-19th century, silver dollars like the 1846 issue were often hoarded or exported, especially to China and other parts of Asia where U.S. silver coins were trusted for their weight and purity, which significantly reduced the number remaining within the United States. Historically, the year 1846 is notable because it marked the beginning of the Mexican-American War, a conflict that would result in the U.S. acquiring vast territories including California, Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and parts of Colorado and New Mexico. And although the coin itself does not directly reference this event, it circulated during a period of expanding national ambition and economic uncertainty. From a numismatic perspective, the 1846 seated Liberty dollar is admired for its classical beauty, balanced proportions, and historical authenticity, but collectors also note that many surviving specimens exhibit weak strikes, bag marks, or surface wear due to the minting technology and storage practices of the era. There are no major design subtypes for the 1846 dollar, but specialists examine die varieties, alignment, and subtle differences in star placement or lettering for advanced study. In terms of value, the 1846 $1 varies dramatically depending on condition, with heavily worn examples typically valued in the low thousands of US dollars, while well-preserved extremely fine or about uncirculated pieces command significantly higher prices, and rare mint state examples can reach tens of thousands of dollars at auction, particularly when certified by major grading services such as PCGS or NGC. Beyond monetary value, the coin holds cultural importance as a tangible artifact of pre-Civil War America, representing a time when coinage was both money and metal, when the U.S. Mint was still refining its artistic identity, and when silver dollars symbolized national credibility in global trade. Today, the 1846 seated Liberty dollar is sought after by serious collectors, historians, and investors alike, not only for its rarity but for the story it tells about American craftsmanship, economic policy, and the ideals of liberty and strength that the young nation wished to project to the world, making it a cornerstone issue within the broader narrative of United States silver coinage and a lasting reminder of America's 19th-century heritage. The historical and economic role of the 1846 seated Liberty $1 becomes even more meaningful when examined within the broader framework of 19th-century American monetary policy and international silver trade, because during this era the United States operated under a bimetallic standard, where both gold and silver were legally recognized as money, and fluctuations in global silver prices often caused U.S. silver dollars like the 1846 issue to disappear from domestic circulation as they were melted or exported for profit, particularly after discoveries of silver abroad altered market ratios. As a result, the seated Liberty dollar was not commonly used by ordinary citizens for daily purchases but instead served as a commercial and trade coin, frequently handled by banks, merchants, and exporters, which explains why many surviving examples show heavy wear, rim damage, or adjustment marks from repeated weighing, a practice used to confirm proper silver content. Numismatically, collectors value the 1846 dollar not only for its scarcity but also for its strike characteristics, noting that the obverse often shows softness on Liberty's head and shield, while the reverse eagle's breast feathers may appear weak, traits typical of the minting presses of the period rather than wear, and these details are carefully evaluated by grading professionals to distinguish true circulation wear from mint weakness. Advanced collectors also study die cracks, repunched dates, and minor engraving variations, which can add scholarly interest even if they do not drastically affect market value. And such microscopic features help modern numismatists trace mint practices and tool usage at the Philadelphia Mint during the mid-1840s. From a preservation standpoint, original specimens with natural gray or golden toning are especially prized, as improper cleaning, once common in earlier decades, can significantly reduce desirability and value, making originality a key factor in today's market. Culturally, the 1846 seated Liberty dollar stands as a silent witness to a nation on the brink of transformation, minted just 15 years before the Civil War and at a time when debates over expansion, slavery, and states' rights were intensifying, yet the coin itself projected calm classical imagery, suggesting stability and permanence even as the country faced internal and external challenges. In modern collecting, The $1846 appeals to multiple audiences, including type collectors, who seek one representative example of the seated Liberty dollar design, date collectors, who focus on assembling complete year sets, and investor collectors, who recognize the long-term demand for early U.S. silver dollars with limited surviving populations. Auction records consistently demonstrate strong interest in this issue, especially when I appeal, strike quality, and provenance combine, reinforcing its status as a respected and historically rich coin whose importance extends far beyond its silver content, serving instead as a durable symbol of America's early financial system, artistic ambition, and evolving national identity. From a collector and legacy perspective, the 1846 seated Liberty $1 occupies a special position because it represents a bridge between America's earliest silver dollar designs and the later, more industrialized coinage of the post-Civil War era. And for many numismatists, this coin embodies the transition from handcrafted minting traditions to increasingly standardized production methods. Although struck at a time when mint technology was improving, each $1846 still shows subtle individuality, with minor differences in strike depth, planchet quality, and surface texture that reveal the human element behind its creation, making every surviving specimen a unique historical artifact rather than a mass-produced object. Collectors also recognize that surviving examples are disproportionately concentrated in lower grades due to decades of circulation, hoarding, and overseas shipment, which elevates the importance of mid-grade coins that retain strong design detail while still showing honest wear, as these pieces best reflect how the coin functioned in real economic life. Provenance adds another layer of fascination, as some documented $1846 have appeared in famous 19th and early 20th century collections, connecting modern owners with generations of collectors who preserved these coins when appreciation for early U.S. numismatics was still developing. Academically, the coin continues to be studied as part of broader research into silver flows, trade balances, and mint output patterns, and its relatively modest mintage compared to later silver dollars provides valuable data for understanding why large denomination silver coins struggled to remain in domestic circulation. In the modern market, the 1846 seated Liberty dollar is often viewed as a long-term store of historical value, not merely a speculative investment, because demand is driven by deep-rooted interest in early American history rather than short-term trends, and this sustained interest has helped stabilize its value over decades. Ultimately, the 1846 $1 stands as more than a piece of silver. It is a physical link to an era of ambition, uncertainty, and craftsmanship, carrying within its worn surfaces the story of commerce, policy, and identity in a growing nation, and ensuring that its legacy endures as both a collectible treasure and an educational window into America's 19th century past. In the broader narrative of American numismatic heritage, the 1846 seated Liberty $1 also serves as an important reference point for understanding how public trust in coinage was built and maintained during a period when the credibility of a nation's money depended almost entirely on the intrinsic value of precious metals, because paper currency was still viewed with suspicion by many citizens after earlier financial panics, and silver dollars like the 1846 issue functioned as tangible guarantees of value backed by weight and fineness rather than government promise alone. This trust made U.S. silver dollars widely accepted not only within the country but also abroad, especially in international ports where American trade was expanding, and the consistent quality of coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint helped establish a reputation that allowed the United States to compete with long-established European powers in global commerce. Symbolically, the seated figure of Liberty on the obverse reflected Enlightenment ideals of order, balance, and civic virtue, intentionally avoiding portraits of real individuals to emphasize that authority rested in principles rather than rulers. A design philosophy that resonated strongly in the mid-19th century. For modern historians, the 1846 $1 provides insight into how art, economics, and politics were intertwined, as even small design choices, such as the calm posture of Liberty or the formal heraldic eagle, were meant to project confidence and legitimacy during an era of rapid expansion and underlying tension. Collectors today often view the coin as a teaching piece, using it to illustrate the realities of early minting, the effects of circulation and trade on survival rates, and the reasons why large silver coins became impractical for everyday use, eventually leading to changes in U.S. coinage policy. As time passes and surviving examples become more tightly held in established collections, the 1846 seated Liberty dollar continues to gain stature as a historically anchored artifact whose importance lies not only in rarity or market price, but in its enduring ability to convey the story of how the United States defined value, trust, and identity through silver at a pivotal moment in its national development. The $1 1856 of the United States, known as the seated Liberty dollar, is a deeply significant silver coin that reflects the political maturity, economic pressures, and artistic philosophy of mid-19th century America, struck during a decade marked by intense national debate, territorial growth, and rising sectional tensions that would eventually lead toward the Civil War. This coin was produced at a time when the U.S. Mint was striving to maintain consistency and credibility in its silver coinage amid fluctuating global bullion markets, and the 1856 seated Liberty dollar belongs to the broader seated Liberty series minted from 1840 to 1873, designed by the renowned engraver Christian Gobrecht, whose neoclassical approach intentionally echoed ancient democratic ideals, presenting the United States as a stable republic rooted in law, liberty, and order rather than monarchy or dictatorship. The obverse design of the 1856 dollar features Liberty seated on a rock, facing left, holding a Liberty pole topped with a Phrygian cap, symbolizing freedom and emancipation, while her other hand rests on a shield inscribed with Liberty, representing national defense and constitutional authority, surrounded by 13 stars symbolizing the original colonies, with the date 1856 clearly positioned below, all executed with careful balance and restraint that typified official American coin art of the era. The reverse displays a powerful heraldic eagle with spread wings, clutching an olive branch and arrows to signify peace and military readiness, encircled by the inscriptions, United States of America, and $1. A formal and dignified presentation meant to inspire confidence both domestically and internationally. Technically, the 1856 seated Liberty dollar was struck in .900 fine silver, weighed 26.73 grams, 412.5 grains, and measured approximately 38.1 millimeters in diameter, making it a large and weighty coin intended primarily for substantial transactions, banking, and trade rather than daily retail use. The mintage for 1856 was relatively low, estimated at around 63,500 pieces, which contributes significantly to its present-day scarcity, especially considering that many were later melted, exported, or lost due to the intrinsic value of silver and the limited domestic demand for large silver coins at the time. Historically, the year 1856 falls within a period of growing national unrest following the Kansas-Nebraska Act and violent conflicts over slavery in the Western Territories, and while the coin itself bears no direct political message, it circulated through an economy strained by regional division, rapid industrialization in the North, and agricultural expansion in the South, making it a silent witness to a nation increasingly divided. From a circulation standpoint, silver dollars like the 1856 issue were often hoarded or shipped overseas, particularly to Asia, where American silver coins were trusted for their weight and purity, leading to a high attrition rate and explaining why surviving examples are disproportionately found in worn condition. Numismatically, collectors note that the 1856 seated Liberty dollar frequently exhibits weak strikes, especially on Liberty's head and the eagle's breast, a characteristic of the minting technology of the time rather than wear, and professional graders carefully distinguish between strike weakness and circulation damage when assigning grades. Advanced collectors and researchers study minor die varieties, repunch dates, and die cracks, which provide insight into mid-1850s mint operations and tool usage, even though no major design subtype exists for this year. In terms of market value, the 1856 $1 is considered a key semi-scarce date within the series, with heavily Circulated examples typically valued in the thousands of US dollars, while well-preserved extremely fine and about uncirculated specimens command much higher premiums, and rare mint state examples, especially those with original toning and strong eye appeal, can achieve very high five-figure prices at major auctions when certified by PCGS or NGC. Beyond its collectible worth, the 1856 seated Liberty dollar carries strong educational and cultural importance, representing an era when American money was defined by metal content, artistic symbolism, and public trust rather than fiat policy, and when each coin served as both a medium of exchange and a declaration of national identity. Today, the $1 1856 is highly respected among collectors, historians, and long-term investors as a tangible artifact of pre-Civil War America, embodying craftsmanship, economic history, and the enduring symbolism of liberty, making it not merely a silver coin but a lasting witness to a formative chapter in the story of the United States. Looking deeper into the economic function and survival history of the 1856 seated Liberty $1, it becomes clear why this issue remains especially challenging and rewarding for collectors, because by the mid-1850s the role of the silver dollar in everyday American commerce was already diminishing, largely replaced in daily transactions by smaller silver denominations and bank-issued paper notes, which meant that large silver dollars like the 1856 issue circulated primarily through banks, customs houses, and international trade channels rather than local marketplaces. As global silver values shifted, U.S. silver dollars were frequently exported or melted when their bullion content exceeded their face value, and this constant outflow sharply reduced the number of coins that survived domestically, a pattern confirmed by the relatively low population of certified examples today. Many 1856 dollars that do survive show evidence of long-term storage or overseas handling, including chop marks, scratches, or uneven wear, which tell the story of their use in international commerce, particularly in Asian markets where silver coins were weighed and tested to confirm authenticity. From a technical standpoint, specialists also observed that planchet quality during this period was inconsistent, resulting in occasional surface roughness or adjustment marks that are now recognized as part of the coin's original minting character rather than later damage. Academically, the 1856 dollar is often used as a case study in how monetary policy and metallurgy influenced coin circulation, demonstrating how even officially sanctioned money could disappear from use when market forces made it impractical to retain. In the modern numismatic marketplace, this history adds depth to the appeal of the coin, as collectors are not merely acquiring a date and design but a piece that illustrates the complex relationship between government authority, global trade, and precious metal economics. Consequently, the 1856 seated Liberty dollar is appreciated not just for its scarcity but for the rich narrative embedded in its survival, making each existing specimen a physical record of 19th-century economic behavior and international exchange. From a cultural, artistic, and long-term legacy perspective, the 1856 seated Liberty $1 stands as a powerful representation of how the United States sought to define itself visually and ideologically during a period of growing internal strain and external ambition, because the continued use of the seated Liberty design in the mid-1850s reflected a deliberate commitment to classical symbolism at a time when the nation was still relatively young and eager to present an image of permanence, moral authority, and constitutional balance to its citizens and to the world. The calm, composed posture of liberty, seated rather than standing or advancing, was not accidental, but instead conveyed restraint, vigilance, and stability, qualities that were especially important as political debates over slavery, statehood, and federal power intensified in the years leading up to the Civil War, and in this sense the 1856 dollar functioned as a subtle piece of national messaging, reassuring the public and international partners that American institutions remained steady despite rising tensions. Artistically, the coin represents the mature phase of Christian Gobrecht's design language, with refined proportions and dignified simplicity that avoided excessive ornamentation, ensuring that the imagery remained timeless rather than fashionable, a choice that has helped preserve its appeal for modern collectors. Over the decades, The 1856 seated Liberty dollar has also become an important educational artifact, frequently used in museums, academic publications, and advanced numismatic studies to illustrate the realities of 19th-century minting, including manual die preparation, variable strike pressure, and the absence of modern quality control, all of which contributed to the individuality seen in surviving examples. In today's collecting culture, the coin occupies a respected place among both type collectors and date specialists, as it offers a balance of historical weight, aesthetic dignity, and genuine scarcity without being entirely unobtainable, encouraging careful study and long-term appreciation rather than speculative buying. As surviving specimens become increasingly concentrated in established collections and institutions, the 1856 $1 continues to gain stature not merely as a valuable silver coin but as a durable symbol of American identity during a pivotal decade, preserving within its silver surfaces the story of a nation striving to reconcile its ideals of liberty and unity with the complex realities of expansion, commerce, and conflict. When viewed through the lens of modern numismatics and historical continuity, the 1856 seated Liberty $1 also illustrates how changing economic realities eventually rendered large silver dollars impractical, helping to shape the future direction of U.S. coinage, because by the late 1850s and early 1860s the persistent disappearance of silver dollars from circulation forced policymakers and mint officials to reconsider the role of precious metal coins in everyday commerce, a process that would culminate decades later in major reforms such as the Coinage Act of 1873. In this broader evolution, the 1856 dollar represents a late but refined expression of the original silver dollar concept, money whose value was inseparable from its metal content. Before industrialization, paper currency expansion, and modern banking systems transformed how Americans understood and used money. For collectors today, this context deepens appreciation beyond grade and rarity, as the coin becomes a marker of transition from a metal-based economy to a more abstract financial system. Auction records and long-term price trends further demonstrate that demand for the 1856 seated Liberty dollar has remained resilient, driven not only by scarcity but by its role in telling a coherent historical story that connects art, economics, and national development. Ultimately, each surviving 1856 dollar serves as a quiet but enduring witness to a formative era in U.S. history, carrying forward the ideals, challenges, and aspirations of mid-19th century America, and ensuring that its significance endures well beyond its function as currency, solidifying its place as both a collectible treasure and a meaningful historical artifact. The $1 1864 coin of the United States, officially known as the seated Liberty dollar, is one of the most historically powerful and emotionally significant silver coins ever struck by the U.S. Mint, because it was produced during the height of the American Civil War, a time when the nation was fighting for its survival, unity, and identity, making this coin not just a piece of money but a direct artifact of wartime America. The 1864 seated Liberty dollar was struck exclusively at the Philadelphia Mint, as war conditions severely limited mint operations and silver availability, and it belongs to the long-running seated Liberty Dollar Series 1840-1873, designed by Christian Gobrecht, whose classical imagery was intended to symbolize stability, constitutional order, and enduring liberty even as the country was torn apart by conflict. The obverse design depicts Lady Liberty seated on a rock, facing left, holding a liberty pole topped with a Phrygian cap, an ancient symbol of freedom, while her right hand rests on a shield bearing the word liberty, signifying defense of democratic principles, surrounded by 13 stars representing the original colonies, with the date 1864 below, a date that carries enormous historical weight as it coincides with decisive Civil War battles, the re-election of Abraham Lincoln, and the beginning of the end for the Confederacy. The reverse features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching an olive branch and arrows, symbolizing peace and military strength, encircled by the inscriptions, United States of America, and $1. A powerful statement of federal authority at a time when that authority was being violently challenged. Technically, The 1864 dollar was struck in .900 fine silver, weighed 26.73 grams, 412.5 grains, and measured approximately 38.1 millimeters, maintaining the traditional silver dollar standard even though silver coins had largely vanished from everyday circulation due to hoarding, inflation, and public distrust of paper money during the war. The mintage of the 1864 seated Liberty dollar was extremely low, approximately 30,700 coins, reflecting both the scarcity of silver bullion and the limited demand for large silver coins during wartime, and as a result, the 1864 dollar is considered one of the scarcer Civil War-era silver dollars, with relatively few examples surviving today. Most Americans never saw or used a silver dollar during the war years, as precious metal coins were hoarded for their intrinsic value, meaning that many 1864 dollars were either stored in vaults, exported, or later melted, which explains why surviving specimens are often found in worn condition or with evidence of long-term storage. Numismatically, collectors note that the 1864 issue often shows weak strikes, particularly on Liberty's head and the eagle's breast, a consequence of worn dies, reduced striking pressure, and rushed wartime production, and professional graders carefully distinguish between strike weakness and actual circulation wear. From a historical standpoint, the year 1864 was pivotal, marked by events such as General Sherman's Atlanta campaign, the ongoing siege warfare, and Lincoln's leadership during the darkest hours of the war. And while the coin itself does not depict these events, it circulated, or more accurately, existed, within an economy strained by massive military expenditures, greenback inflation, and disrupted trade, making it a silent witness to national crisis. In terms of collector value, the 1864 seated Liberty dollar is highly sought after, with well-worn examples typically commanding high four-figure to low five-figure prices, while extremely fine and about uncirculated specimens bring substantial premiums, and rare mint state examples, especially those with original surfaces and natural toning, can reach very high five-figure or even six-figure prices at major auctions when certified by PCGS or NGC. Academically and culturally, the coin is studied as an example of how the U.S. Mint continued to assert legitimacy and continuity during wartime, maintaining traditional designs and standards as a form of institutional resilience. Today, the $1 1864 is revered not merely for its rarity or silver content, but for its profound connection to the Civil War era, representing endurance, unity, and the idea that the nation, and its ideals of liberty, would survive even its greatest internal conflict, making this coin one of the most meaningful and historically charged silver dollars in all of American numismatics. Examining the economic environment and survival pattern of the 1864 seated Liberty $1 reveals why this coin is considered one of the most elusive issues of the series, because by 1864 the United States was operating under extreme wartime financial stress, with enormous military expenditures funded largely through debt and the issuance of paper greenbacks, which caused inflation and led citizens to hoard gold and silver coins as a store of real value, effectively removing precious metal coinage from everyday circulation. As a result, most 1864 silver dollars never functioned as circulating money in the hands of ordinary people but instead remained in banks, government reserves, or private hoards, and many were later melted when silver prices rose or when obsolete coins were returned to the mint, drastically reducing the number of survivors. Those examples that do survive often show signs of light circulation combined with long-term storage, such as cabinet friction, subdued luster, or contact marks, which tell a complex story of limited use followed by decades of preservation rather than heavy commercial wear. From a numismatic research standpoint, the 1864 dollar is also important for understanding wartime mint practices, as the Philadelphia Mint faced shortages of skilled labor and raw materials, resulting in reused dies, reduced quality control, and occasionally uneven strikes, characteristics that modern graders must carefully interpret. Collectors and historians alike value the 1864 seated Liberty dollar not just as a rare date but as physical evidence of how a nation's monetary system adapts under the pressure of war, making each surviving specimen a compact but powerful record of economic anxiety, government resilience, and public behavior during one of the most critical years in American history. From a cultural, symbolic, and collector's perspective, the 1864 seated Liberty $1 holds a unique place in American history because it embodies both artistic ideals and the turbulent reality of its era, serving as a tangible reminder that even in the midst of civil strife, the United States maintained continuity in its institutions and national imagery. The classical design by Christian Gobrecht, with liberty calmly seated and the eagle boldly displayed, projected stability, permanence, and moral authority at a time when the nation's survival was uncertain, reinforcing the idea that liberty, law, and order endured even as battle raged across the states. For modern collectors, the 1864 dollar represents a convergence of historical significance, rarity, and artistry, attracting type collectors, date collectors, and Civil War enthusiasts alike, who value it not only for its silver content but for the story it carries about patriotism, economic adaptation, and the endurance of American identity under pressure. Auction records and certified population reports show that surviving 1864 dollars are limited, with the majority in lower grades, which increases the appeal of well-preserved examples that retain original luster, sharp details, and natural toning, making them highly sought after and commanding significant premiums. Beyond the monetary and collectible value, the 1864 seated Liberty dollar also serves as an educational artifact, providing scholars, museums, and students with a direct link to mid-19th century America, illustrating how art, commerce, and national symbolism intersected in the everyday objects of the time. Ultimately, this coin is far more than a piece of silver. It is a witness to the perseverance of a nation at war, a testament to the enduring ideals of liberty, and a collectible that continues to inspire both admiration and historical reflection more than 150 years after it was struck. From a numismatic and investment perspective, the 1864 seated Liberty $1 is widely regarded as one of the key issues of the series due to its combination of historical context, low mintage, and survival scarcity, making it highly desirable among serious collectors and investors alike. The 1864 issue had a relatively low mintage of approximately 30,700 coins, and because many were hoarded, exported, or melted during and after the Civil War, the surviving population is extremely limited, particularly in higher grades, which makes well-preserved examples increasingly rare and valuable. Today, grading by professional services such as PCGS and NGC plays a crucial role in determining market value, with lower-grade circulated coins selling for significant sums due to scarcity, while extremely fine, about uncirculated, and mint-state coins can command very high premiums, sometimes reaching six-figure prices depending on eye appeal, strike quality, and original toning. The 1864 dollar is also a favorite among type collectors seeking a complete seated Liberty series, date collectors pursuing scarce Civil War-era issues, and investors looking for historically significant silver coins with a strong track record of long-term appreciation. Its desirability is further enhanced by the coin's aesthetic qualities, including the dignified portrayal of liberty, the heraldic eagle's powerful composition, and the subtle variations in die work that make each surviving coin somewhat unique. Ultimately, the 1864 seated Liberty dollar is more than just a monetary instrument. It is a cultural and historical artifact, a witness to a defining period in U.S. history, a piece of art in precious metal, and a tangible connection to the perseverance and identity of a nation in the midst of civil war, securing its place as one of the most respected, studied, and valued coins in American numismatics.